Tommy Curran joins us now on the Harbor One hotline. Tom, you have so many sponsors.
Jeez.
Thanks for taking a minute. I got to ask you first off, we were going over your Patriots Talk podcast the other day where you said and you hinted that Bill Belichick may be on thinner ice with the Kraft family than fans would believe. Can you just kind of run through what you based that on?
I don't think that fans have generally gotten their brains around the idea of all the saber-rattling Robert Kraft has done hasn't been idly mentioning things he's not satisfied with, whether it's the draft situation and the collaboration that he was happy to see, and then visiting back to that in March, whether it's the fact that that collaboration maybe or maybe not yielded a great draft this past year, especially in the first round, which still jury remains out, whether it's his dissatisfaction with the amount of output from the free agents this year and the 3-year playoff drought, the presumption, and again, when he slides his chips into the middle of the table and says, I believe we have the right quarterback, I believe we have a good coach, I believe we're going to see these second-year players mature, I believe that Bill earns the right to do things that don't really make sense to me when he fashions the coaching staff. All of those are occasions in which Robert Kraft is saying, I've been pretty patient, I haven't really said anything, but here's a long list of personnel, spending, development, and overall management that I'm not psyched about. So let's see how it goes. How's it going? So what's he going to do? That's the reason I pointed out. He's not just idly sitting there and saying, wow, these are things I noticed. I wish I could do something about it.
Oh, that was it. I thought you had like a whole like a real exclamation point. So here's the thing: they haven't played since last Thursday, Tom, and I'm sitting there going, all right, I think people will expect like something different because they just haven't seen them, and like what they saw last Thursday night was pretty bad. So should we expect a different? Let's just focus on the offense. Should we expect a different offense, more productive offense when they play against the Cardinals on Monday?
As you know better than all of us, styles make fights. And when the Patriots got in against the Minnesota Vikings team that was not as good a defense as the Indianapolis Colts or the New York Jets or the Buffalo Bills, they put up 382 yards. Yeah, situationally they were still moronic and they still took penalties that they shouldn't have and had a breakdown on special teams, but at least they jammed up the hole in the dike that was the offensive line. So you can anticipate they'll be more productive against the worst defense statistically in the NFL. But what else starts to spring a leak? I think that if you're a Patriots observer, you are now conditioned to say, well, it might look good. It might look good 382 yards. But how will their game management be? How will the penalties be? How will their situational management be? And when it gets to crunch time, how will that protection be?
If there was one thing that you wanted, if you just focus on the offense, because all of us are just ignoring the defense because they're not the problem, supposedly. If you could pick one thing to fix before this game or moving in for the next, 5 games, what would it be? The most important area of concern would be what? Stop
with the penalties.
Yeah.
Penalties. It's that simple, and you wish that it was that simple, right? I mean, I ask you, is it coaching or is it player when a guy doesn't line up the right way, or even not a penalty, a mistake on the first 3rd and 1 when you cross up a mesh and the ball ends up on the ground between two of your very best players? I don't understand why they are so off their details, perhaps the least detail-oriented team that we've seen.
Well, you're talking about that 3rd and 1, the third play of the game last week, right? Exactly. So the handoff to no, it wasn't a penalty, but it was a disaster. And so you tell me what's the problem? Who do you blame for that?
I blame the players, but I think that there's a player blame that has to arise from where's the urgency that should be being dispensed so that you know what's going to happen on the first 3rd and short of the game. I know the script is not, hey, we're going to run this, and this, regardless of scenario. But you know what your first 3rd and short's going to be, don't you?
Yes, absolutely.
So why is either the franchise quarterback or the best offensive player running back going in opposite directions? I mean, that's on the players.
It's mind-boggling.
So that's the kind of thing right there. And, how can this team, and wow, it's not a Bill Belichick team, kind of has been for 2 years like this.
We're talking with Tommy Curran. Tommy, Arcand here. You said the other day that, just wanted everyone to know that. You said the other day.
He got, just so you know, Tommy got big time by Scal yesterday.
Scalabrini called me the other gentleman yesterday. Didn't want that to happen again. Anyway, so Tommy.
So self-conscious.
You did. I very much am. You mentioned that Bill Belichick would have probably moved on from himself at this point, and that was a great point that you made, and I think it made a lot of sense. I wonder, are there people on this roster, which is, I think, the comparison you were making is to players who've sort of outlived their usefulness. A lot of these guys, I feel like, are guys that he just signed, right? Like, these are guys that just came over here as free agents and haven't been very productive. So I guess the question is, what do you fix first in the offseason when it comes to that?
Thank you. Offensive line, because I don't think Kendrick Bourne stinks, and I don't think Devontae Parker stinks. I don't think Jonnu Smith even stinks. And I don't think that, well, he might. Nelson Aguilar might. But to get any production at all in 2022 with a quarterback who needs a moment or two to use his brain, if that's what you're building around, fix the offensive line. Did you swing and miss on Cole Strange? Well, too late to worry about it now. He's going to be around a while. So get him on the protein shakes, give him 3,000 pizzas, and figure he's going to be here for a while. Is David Andrews good enough? I think he is, to stay on the center for another year. Does he want to run it back? Doesn't look like he's having a great time sometimes. Right guard, that's fine. You need 2 tackles. And it's not a great draft for tackles. But until you can fix that, you can't even begin to figure whether or not Mac Jones is a guy that you want to walk down the aisle with.
Charlie Weiss said the other day that Mac Jones' biggest issue is he doesn't have a stud wide receiver. Is that something that he needs, or can he get by with this caliber of wide receiver going forward?
I would ask Charlie Weiss, what in God's name was a stud wide receiver on the 2001 team?
That's true.
Was it Freddie Coleman, or was it Charles Johnson?
Well, he didn't say Tom Brady needed one of those. He says Mac Jones needs one of those.
Yeah, and I know it's 21 years in the future, but I don't think that Deion Branch in his second year in 2003, second year, and David Givens, there weren't a lot of teams lining up to trade for those wide receivers either. The Patriots are missing protection. After that, they're missing any kind of play-calling rhythm. Mm-hmm. After that, they're missing a sub-back who could be elusive on third down, the way James White, Kevin Falk, et al. Were. After that, they need a slot, a true slot, not a Jacoby Myers slot, who's a genius, but not elusive after the catch. That's where they need guys. All the other stuff will take care of itself. You got plenty with Hunter Henry and Johnny Smith.
Yeah, see, I thought that if you just have the first 2, I think you're fine.
Protection?
Yeah, I think you just have the protection and the coach. We had this discussion yesterday. If you just have the offensive line and the coaching, I think, well, you're not embarrassing, and you're actually competing for a legitimate playoff spot that isn't or won't just be handed to you based on the fact that the rest of the teams suck and nobody wants that last wild card spot.
Yeah, I mean, Christian, all you fellas and girls,
gentlemen,
they're gonna play. These gentlemen in the front of the microphone, they're going to play a Vegas Raiders team next week that's better than them, that tuned them up in the preseason, that is now on a 3-game winning streak, and is probably going to lap them.
Oof.
It's discouraging.
So, Tom, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's me again with those weirdo pauses.
Yeah, I know, they're so long.
Very
wrong
pregnant
with
pauses
you
today. Yes.
Well, you guys,
burping.
here's the opposite, though. You guys talk so fast and jump over each other so quickly that even somebody playing at somewhat slower tempo just messes you guys.
Totally. I can't. I'm waiting. It's like double dutch. I'm waiting to jump in. You're not giving me an open.
Sorry, bro.
Okay.
We got an autopsy going on a patient that's still alive, is what the Patriots season is.
Gross.
I actually like that one.
You've covered Bill Belichick for many years now. Just from your perspective, there's been reports before that back around 2018, there was some pressure. Hey, keep Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator. Keep that going. With the way that the offensive coordination by committee is going right now, could you see that kind of pressure coming from Bob Kraft or Jonathan Kraft in the offseason saying, like, hey, this is the offensive coordinator we'd really like to see? I know you called Bill O'Brien pie in the sky, but a little pressure there.
I don't know if they would say, hey, this is the offensive coordinator they'd like to see. I think the first thing you do with any employee is, again, and I'm not Mr. Manager here, but I'd say, what's your plan? What do you plan to do? Because Bill is nothing if not detail-oriented, despite the fact that these details have blown up in his face. Say, what's your plan? That didn't work, so what's the plan, my manager? And then he would have to say something. Now, if it's two shrugs and a snort, and we'll see what Billy O'Brien has to say, but I'm not too optimistic about it, then, okay, well, where's the urgency, Bill? Because no urgency was shown in 2022. And I think that as I look back, I think that might be one of the most off-putting things about this offseason was how dismissive Bill was of every question posed about a reasonable subject, about what they were going to do with play caller and why was this guy suitable. And we'll get to it when we get to it. It's months away. What are we going to do? Have play calling in minicamp? I mean, it was reasonable questions, and he was so dismissive of it. So if the Krafts encounter a dismissive, and I'll get to it when I get to it, or I haven't thought about it yet, or I'm going to throw it up against the wall again and see what sticks, I would imagine they're going to say, I don't think that's really what we're looking for here, Bill, to use one of your phrases.
Last one, Tom. Your prediction for this game, score prediction, the Cardinals and Pats.
41-31, Patriots.
Same.
I mean, it's Wednesday.
Yeah. No, they're going to win. They're going to beat them. They're going to lose to the Raiders, and they're going to be back to 500, and it's going to be like a mad dash for those last three games to get into the playoffs.
I just came up with that, Meg, so I don't want to hear that prediction again.
Okay, the last time you did that, it was the most ridiculous number I'd ever heard. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I enjoyed it.
Like
Tommy,
9-2,
thank you so much for joining us. He joins us every Thursday,
Thanks,
usually
Tom.
around 3:30. Thanks, Tom.
Goodbye, Christian. Goodbye, Christian.
Goodbye, buddy.
Goodbye, Meg. Goodbye, other gentlemen.
Goodbye, gentlemen.